Dr. Sanjib, welcome to the Pursuing Uncomfortable podcast. You have quite a few accomplishments. First, you're a pharmacist. And second, you've got another thing going on in life that you're going to share with us about. So what would you like us to know about you as we begin today?
That's a very, broad question. I have so many things which is going on right now. And, I'm happy the way that trajectory of my life has taken. Right now, I'm working on my app, which is called Nuvo. It's a free app for health and wellness. And anybody, anywhere in the world can download it for free. And it's in the Google Play Store and App Play Store. And the whole point of making the app is to give the users a platform where they can, improve their health and wellness. And we have implemented a lot of things in that app. Like we have a section for meditation. And just to clarify the myth that, meditation is related to religion, it has nothing to do with religion. Meditation is basically a form of exercise, formed to have a better concentration of your mind so that you can improve your focus. Because, you can be a scientist, you can be a professor, you can be a teacher. We all need, focus and concentration to accomplish our task. And we have implemented that in our app so that you can improve your, focus and concentration and get better in your life. The second part which we have implemented in our app is the exercise. Like, when we were born, we were gatherers and hunters. We are not meant to sit in a desk and do our job. We have to walk, we have to run, we have to do different physical activity to keep this body in optimum health. And what our app will do is it will count the number of steps you are taking in the whole day. So again, exercise is an important part of our life. And if we are doing exercise, there are different benefits of exercise. There is a lot of literature. And there is a literature in Harvard University that if you are only walking, it decreases your cardiovascular disease by 52%, which is a huge number. And the third section which we have implemented is water intake. As, human beings, as, specifically me, we live in cold countries. And, I refer to myself as a camel to my son because I drink very less water. And because of the cold, we don't drink, much water. But our body and brain is made up of 70% water. If we are not drinking enough water, it can lead to depression and anxiety. And the fourth thing which we have implemented is sleep analysis. Like sleep is something which we all need. Like, it's essential. Without, good restful sleep, we cannot function the next day. It's only, even if you don't sleep one night, it can disrupt your whole day. When we sleep, there are different things which is happening in our brain. So the oxygen supply, when you are sleeping, your body, your brain needs oxygen. And when you're sleeping, all the waste material which is in the brain is kind of, excreted by the cerebral spinal fluid. So that, whatever the waste material is there comes out of the brain when you sleep. That we know very little about this thing. We are able to do a lot of progress in the last 2 decades, but still brain is such a complicated thing that we have just touched the surface of the brain. So we do have a section, where you can write what you are grateful for today. Because every day is different. You might be grateful for your family, you might be grateful for your son, you might be grateful that you woke up today because there are so many people who did not wake up today. Which is definitely better than seeing the negatives things which is happening in our life. Giving example of my life, I always used to see, what is negative happening in my life rather than seeing the positive. And that's how every human being is wired. We always see the negative stuff. We never see, what is good happening in our life. And there are so many things we are grateful for. Most of the human being, Melissa, is happy with 90% of their life. Most of the people. But what we, take is the 10% which we are not happy with. We pick up those 10%. Okay, I'm not happy with this thing. But why don't you see that 90% you're happy? So, gratitude is something you can build on. So that is one of the section in the act. Then we have mood checks, like, how you're feeling today, whether you are in a good mood, you are sad, you are angry. We go through different emotions, in a day. Even if it is not all the emotions, some of the emotions, analyzing, okay, what kind of mood you are going through, because you cannot be happy all the time.
I have to agree with you that gratitude really refocuses us on what is present in our lives and what is good. It takes away our focus from mourning over what's missing or worrying about what's not there. And that one practice of being grateful, that gratitude practice, really focuses us on what is really present to us. And so often we take those things for granted, and it can make such a difference in our lives. But I really love, as a spiritual leader, the incorporation of the spiritual health, meditation, with the physical aspects of health, getting enough sleep, drinking water, moving our bodies. And again, that other spiritual aspect of being grateful. I love that holistic approach. That's one of my biggest things that I talk about in life is we are spiritual beings. Whether or not we're religious, we are spiritual beings. And it's vital to tend to our spiritual health because it has ramifications in our physical health. And I love that you, being a pharmacist, a scientist, someone with a background in that physicality of our bodies, is also telling us it's important to meditate. It's important to practice gratitude because it all goes together. And folks, if you want this app, and you do, believe me, I downloaded it earlier this morning and was fooling around with it to the point where I was almost late to this interview today. But the app is called Luvo, Luvo, and there's a link to it in the show notes. It's available for Android and Apple. Make sure you check that app out. Install it on your phone. And, I have to hand it to you. I have apps for meditation. I have apps on my phone for fitness and movement, but I love that you've incorporated these all in one place. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And there are about 45 different directions I want to go in this podcast, but alas, wisdom says, let's just pick one or two and go from there. So I want to talk about the difference that meditation can make in our lives, if that's all right with you.
Yes, definitely.
And meditation, in certain traditions, is called centering prayer, but it's simply just quieting your mind and your body and your soul and just being present in the moment. So call it whatever you will, but it's such a healthy addition to your lives. So tell us how that can change us, if you would.
So as I came from, India, or you can say the Eastern culture, where it is called meditation. So I thought, if my mind is so much restless, why don't I try meditation? And in the Western culture, you can say, mindfulness. And just to clarify it, like, my mom never meditates. She never do any kind of mindfulness, but she used to pray. Praying is again a form of meditation. So it's not that, this is not related. Everything is related. Meditation has, I will not say that it's kind of related to religion, as I mentioned it. It's about, centering your mind and have, ease and equanimity in the brain so that you can think clearly. Because, I have, trying to find out what is the scientific reason, why does our brain, works in different directions? Because the role of the brain has two things. It is to keep yourself safe. And the second thing is, it wants to conserve energy. And by default, we always think negative. So to control this monkey mind, we have to implement something in our life. You can take, prayer. And if you can do prayer every single day, which is fine. You have to choose what is good for you. I chose meditation because, I thought, okay, this is going to help. And meditation is kind of, you concentrate on an object, place, thing, or just on your breath. And why people say breath? Because it is always present with you. You have to go anywhere to find your breath. And if you are concentrating on your breath, you're not thinking about any negative things. So once I started doing meditation, I found that I'm less, reactive. My focus was getting better. And then I started diving deep into the scientific reason. Okay, what is happening in my brain? Because, something is definitely happening, which is keeping myself calmer and less reactive. And I find out that when you are meditating, there is a structure in our brain which is called amygdala, which is the fight or the flight response. That 8 weeks of meditation decreases the size of amygdala, which is the fear center. And once you are less fear, it means, you are more in a state of calm and relaxed state. You are not in a flight or flight mode. And it has been scientifically proven by Sarah Lazar, who is a neuroscientist in Harvard Medical College. The second thing, what meditation does is either we are left-brainers or right-brainers. It's the same thing, like either we write with left hand or the right hand. You cannot write with both hands. But imagine if you are able to write with both hands. And now imagine if you can use, both your brains, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere and become whole brain. So it means, left-sided people are more analytical, logical, more good at reasoning part. And the right side brain are more good at philosophy and art. And what meditation does, it increases the thickness or the joining between the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, and you become whole brainers. Once you become whole brainers, your thinking, clarity, everything improves. Your mental clarity becomes, optimal. So, these are the benefits which I found after reading, that there are so many other benefits, like meditators sleeps like long. I never had a problem sleeping. I go to bed 30 seconds and sleep. I never woke up in the night time. And, there are so many other benefits, like, it releases endorphins, different dopamine in our brain, which makes us happy.
I love how you can start small with meditation. You can start with just 3 to 5 minutes and set a timer if you need to, but that 3 to 5 minutes can really begin to make changes in you. And it's not like a switch is flipped. It takes time. After a couple of weeks or so, you're going to start seeing some differences in yourself. Just meditating for a few minutes each day. And then, in my experience, you start craving a little more and a little more. And you find that place of balance. You find the amount that works for you. And it makes such a difference.
Yes, definitely. As you say, you are for more. Same thing happens for me. So that's the reason I was kind of laughing, like I am now addicted to meditation. Like, when I woke up, I have to do it, like kind of become a habit. before I go to bed, I have to do meditation for, at least 5 or 10 minutes. It is, such a routine. It is such a habit that I cannot skip it. And why I do it? Because I see the benefits.
Absolutely. Now, before we end today, I want to talk about your book because I love the title, The Man with Zero Talent. That's the name of your book, and I want to buy it just because of the title. Tell us what inspired this book and a little bit of what it's about.
So, when I started my self-transformation journey in 2017, I don't know what to do. So I started implementing meditation. Then, I started implementing, exercise. I started walking, which eventually led me to run my first half marathon and my first full marathon. And then I started implementing, cold showers in my regular routine. And this mind and body are not different entities. It's kind of, interrelated to each other. So I started eating healthy because, what I put inside my mouth, is what it is, giving to my brain at the same time. If I'm putting, junk in my body, it is going to make me lethargic and, my energy level will get. So I have to, put the best fuel, you can say, in my body so that, my body and mind is working in an optimal condition. So I started, working on my eating habits and, I did extensive research about meditation, exercise, cold showers, how to eat healthy, and which led me to find, okay, what is about the emotional intelligence? Because, again, we are going through different kinds of emotion and how we can take better control of this brain. Because our brain weighs only 3 pounds, which is, 2% of our body weight, yet it consumes 25% of the energy. Now, when it is consuming 25% of the energy, by default, the role of the brain is to conserve energy. And if I wanted to do something or accomplish something in my life, it means, I have to work hard. So what I have to do is, I have to become the captain of this mind. Otherwise, the mind is going to control my life. So the book is about self-transformation, what I have done in my life to change myself. And I wanted to give a clear-cut roadmap to anybody who needs it, because it took me 3 years to, kind of refine my life. And if somebody is reading this book, it will give them a shortcut. If you do these things, it will improve your life in 6 to 8 weeks rather than spending 3 years.
Perfect. And what a way to live. I would much rather be happy and healthy than any other way. So thank you, Dr. Sanjib, for joining us today. And folks, I encourage you to click the link to see his website, check out the app. There's a lot of information there on the website about the app, but also about life in general. And of course, get your copy of the book. So thank you again for joining us today.